Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I am joined today on this lovely day by one Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, we got things and stuff to talk about for Steelers football just one short week away. How you doing, my friend?
My life is complete. My plate is full. My cup overfloweth. Cam Hayward, Steeler for life. I'm happy. I don't care. I know we're going to talk about it. I have to say it first. Cam Hayward, grown-ass man.
Brian's a little excited over there. He's bouncing around. He's bouncing around away from the microphone and shouting to the mountains. There's so much. Yeah, why don't we talk about Cam first? We might as well. We got a lot of news. There's all kinds of things. You know, as we were laying the smackdown on, like, stupid ideas like Leonard Fournette or maybe signing Josh McCown to sit at home and not work out with our team. There's some other things. I think we actually missed like a body or name or two or player in that whole spiel of ours. But let's go to Cam first before we get to some other names. Yeah, we were the Steelers. What the heck? The cap's a myth. Let's just go there. We talk about this in the back rooms all the time. I don't know how anybody does it. Like, all these teams aren't supposed to have cap room. Then all of a sudden they end up signing players. Steelers have no space. They get Eric Ebron. They extend people. They do all these different crazy, wacky, zany things. Like give Cam Hayward the most yearly average money of any defensive player over the age of 30 in NFL history, as reported by Jeremy Fowler, wherever he stole that from. So probably ESPN Stats or somebody has that for him, since he's employed by them. He gets to source that great info at his fingertips, of which, you and I got to go in and do it the old manual. It's like doing fantasy football when you had to get a USA Today or something and do it all in a notebook or on graph paper. Yeah. You didn't even have spreadsheets back then to be able to do the calculations. And yes, I am that old too, Brian. I know. I carry that torch for you. But you have to be happy. You're a grown-ass man in a black and gold uniform, probably for the remainder of his career. If anything, he's getting a big payday now, and maybe he'll still hang around for a season or two. He may get some Brett Kiesel years out of this too, but they loaded him up front, and there's some confused people. Why give money to a guy that's going to be 32? Look, he's going to be 32 next May, right? It was May, not March. It was May. He started his career later than most people. Everybody was calling him a first-round bust. He couldn't get on the field because they were still trying to figure out if Ziggy Hood was a first-round bust at the time. They had Aaron Smith at that time, who then ended up getting hurt. There were things that necessitated change when they went 0-3 to start the 2013 season. It's time to find out if this young buck can get on the field and do it, and he's been there ever since, with the exception of the 1 year where he only played 7 games. I think he missed 9 games. He's been there, and anytime he's been available or they wanted to start him, of course, they've sat starters for some of those end-of-the-year type games where they try and rest guys for the playoffs. So aside from that, he's been an Iron Man ever since. He led the team in sacks a few years ago. He's been in the Pro Bowl the last 3 years, All-Pro twice over those last 3 years. Not your traditional defensive end recognition, because guys think of 4-3 type guys. They're your edge rushers. The Steelers have edge rushers. They're their outside linebackers. But ever since Keith Butler has unleashed the hounds, so to speak, he's been eating, and Cam Hayward looks to eat a little more. 29 regular season sacks over these last 3 years, as the Steelers have led the league in sacks, or at least tied for league lead in sacks each of those last 3 seasons. I've said a mouthful. What do you got to say about your favorite guy? Not even just grown-ass man. He's in GOAT territory now.
Absolutely he is. Look, my days had been dampened. My ardor had been tamped down. My joy had been subjugated and pushed down by the man, damn it. And now it's all back. It's all back because he's there for life. The bromance is back on. I'm in. What do you want me to say? Look,
do you have a Cam Hayward? Do you have a Cam Hayward jersey?
I have a Cam Hayward jersey signed. I have a Cam Hayward jersey authentic unsigned. I have a Cam Hayward Pro-Line full-size autographed helmet. I have Cam Hayward rookie cards. I have Cam Hayward. I have so much Cam Hayward crap in my house that I could build a shrine to Cam Hayward. I'm not going to because that's a little weird. But
we should find out if we can order his bathwater for you.
No, I don't want that. I don't want the bathwater. Cam's the man. Look, he's from the Ohio State University, so immediately he's already going to have been on my radar. And then he's the son of Ironhead. How can you? I got my Ironhead. I still have my Ironhead eye blacks that I bought the year that he put the Ironhead eye blacks on and got in trouble. And I still have some of those, and I'm going to be wearing them this season at some point in time.
It's hard to believe how far we've come. Now guys can actually put things on their cleats and maybe not get in trouble, including, who was it? Was it Trevor Bauer with the Cleveland Indians had Harambe cleats, which I'm totally down with. Never forget. Anyways, terrible things happen.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Terrible things happen in Cincinnati. That was in Cincinnati, man. That's just.
Yes, it was.
You got Vontez Burfict. That was terrible. You have everything's terrible about Cincinnati. It's a tragedy. Anyways, Cam Hayward also named team captain here. So
yes.
So is Jordan Dangerfield. Holy crap! I didn't even think the guy was going to make the roster, and here we are. Special teams captain.
TJ Watt.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a shoo-in when you're talking about Big Ben, Marquise Pouncey, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and then Jordan Dangerfield. I mean, Jordan Dangerfield. Somebody was saying something like, I saw it on Facebook like last night or something, finally getting recognition or whatever. Yeah, he's been around like on the team forever, but he hasn't actually been on the active roster all that time. But it's like been like 7 seasons now. And, hey, kudos to him to being able to, he's like, I don't know, like sticky tack or something. You just can't get rid of him. Like a piece of bubble gum that gets stuck to your shoe. He finds a way and he finds a way to be there. And you know what? That type of longevity usually means even if he doesn't end up with the Steelers in the near future, he's probably going to get a shot like 1 or 2 other places just because they don't have that type of veteran presence. And this is a guy that's basically been willing to probably do anything to be able to be part of the team. And what else can you say? That's being a good teammate. So we've got other things. Let's jump over before we look at it. We had depth charts announced as well. But the other news over the weekend, we didn't get to talk about this, and it was something that I was thinking about in my brain. Sean Davis and Josh Dobbs returning to the Steelers. So let's take Davis. Davis first. I was wondering if the team would have interest in either one of these guys. For both of these guys, you have an off season that was not an off season. You didn't have your normal workouts. You didn't get to really try out rookies. You get to see like Zoom things. You know what I mean? Zoom meetings.
Right.
The guys they bring in, like a Ray McLeod, they maybe have firsthand knowledge of seeing whenever watching other film or scouting in college and things. They may have a little more intimate knowledge on somebody like that. You're not going to have a Duck Hodges come from out of nowhere. We'll mention his name again here shortly. But I was just kind of curious. I was thinking, like, was there an interest in keeping Sean Davis initially? And we were talking about how they had to let Mark Barron go, Anthony Chickalo. That was an easy one. There were certain things they had to do with restructuring contracts in order to make the moves that they did make, extend somebody like Cam Hayward. And here you go. You got Sean Davis goes over to the Washington Redskins. It was like they pretty much just had to do something that's like a street free agent, somebody cheap. They couldn't even afford to give him like whatever he ended up getting. I know he's got $2 million coming. That was guaranteed. But also, the respect of this guy got injured. Got put on IR week 2. The Steelers are going to be. He lost his job. They traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. You have Terrell Edmonds. It's a first-round pick. Where else are you going to fit Sean Davis into? How much are you going to pay him just to be a backup? Hey, you know what? Go see what you could do. Make more money. See if you have an opportunity to play somewhere else. Thank you, sir. Probably shake hands, part ways. It's the way I imagine it going down. Didn't work out for him with the Washington football team. Man, I'm gonna have trouble this year. Not only with that one or football team, but the Las Vegas Raiders. That's gonna throw me off. I'm still saying you're saying it too. San Diego Chargers. That's still messing with me. There's too much stuff going on here. So, anyways, we don't have to worry about that with the Steelers at least. Sean Davis, I'm like, this would be a great guy.
Wood all left and right.
As soon as he was released, I'm like, this would be a great guy to be able to have depth, because I was worried about safety depth. We were talking about this maybe just the last episode. One of the areas where there was probably more cause for concern than anywhere else, particularly on the defense. Now it really shores it up. He gets some money to help offset what the Washington was going to pay him. And then, he's back in the fold, and this is a guy that was here for 4 years, started a boatload of games, played nickel corner, played strong safety, played free safety, can pretty much play anywhere, is versatile, won't have the pressure of having to be a starter. Awesome move by the Steelers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't complain about this. Look, and one of the beat writers, I can't remember which one, might have been Wex, but basically said he knows the role now. The difference is he's not coming into this blind. He's not having certain expectations. He doesn't expect to be a starter. He's coming in knowing the role he's coming in for. And that will help tremendously. He knows the defense, and you're now talking. This is one of those rarities where you have a starter capable guy as depth. That just doesn't happen all that often. And now they're in that position. We don't have to, all respect to Jordan Dangerfield and his special teams accomplishment, but we don't have to worry about Jordan Dangerfield coming in as our safety depth at this point, which is good because I don't want to think about that. But I'm very happy. I think this is a savvy move. The fact that they may still get a
compensatory.
Yeah, whatever you just said, compensatory, compensatory pick.
Comp. Just say comp.
For him. They may get a comp pick for him. Yeah,
hey.
There you go. I can handle that. That won't trip my 56-year-old tongue. A comp pick that, it's like icing on the cake. You basically said you weren't going to play last year anyway. Oh, you went and signed someplace else, but you got cut. We got a pick, and we got you. Hey, life is good.
Yeah, that one works. It really works because I didn't realize he was maybe one of the top 32 free agents. But when you come to think of it, LJ Fort was last year, and so was Dante Moncrief. So it just goes to show how many, even the smallest contracts aren't incredibly large by when you look league wide. And it's not the first time that something like that's happened. It's happened with Will Gay. I know the Bengals had it happen when they had Michael Johnson, their one defensive end. Yep. He went somewhere like Arizona. It seems like everybody goes there and then comes back or retires, or goes there to retire. Anyway, Sean Davis. That'll be interesting. I know you were maybe in the backroom chatter or not with the professor and a few others. We're talking about the front seven. You know what? I'm going to hold this for the depth chart. Let's go to Josh Dobbs before I get to this deep thought about how just deep the defense is. They're deep everywhere. This practice squad has however many veterans on it, too. We nailed a few of them like Wendell Smallwood. We didn't nail Dan McCullers. We didn't know Carlos Davis was going to make the actual 53. But here's the interesting one, and this is the one that's really just kind of irks me. I was getting into a back and forth with someone in one of these groups about backup quarterbacks and Nick Foles, and it's like Nick Foles is such an outlier who actually had a stinker or two of a game too, where their team got lucky or their defense carried them and they got a lead. They were able to do things that were aggressive, defensive scores, things of that nature. And they were already 12-2 or whatever that season before Carson Wentz went down. But still the same. Nick Foles had already been a starter all over in the NFL, and he bounced around even from the Eagles, and he went over to the Rams. He went to all these different places and just – he still doesn't have a job. Mitch Trubisky has the job in Chicago. So everybody has these illusions of grandeur with backup quarterbacks. They are backups until they're not. And then you get to decide really if they're worth their salt. We've said it so many times. There aren't 32 starting NFL quarterbacks worth their salt here. Right. You still got the other Fitzpatrick, no relation to Minka Ryan, that's going to be playing. And some of that's you don't want to ruin or destroy your rookie and his confidence and everything like that, unless, you're the Browns and you do it to however many quarterbacks you've drafted over the years. But just, it's not one of these things where you invest top 5 money at a position of quarterback to somebody like Big Ben and then go and blow another whatever Nick Foles was probably making. and he still didn't hold down a job in Jacksonville. I understand he got hurt, but they still got out of that whole deal, and now he's in Chicago, and he still didn't win that job. And is he meant to be just a guy that you could plug in for 3-4 games? Yeah, that's what a backup is. Does it mean he's necessarily great? Well, he had a great run right there, and they certainly, they played to his strengths. They had a trick play up their sleeves that everyone will remember. And you know what? For a game, he had the cojones on him to stick it to the Patriots. I mean, you give the guy kudos, but geez, oh man, how many times do we have to say the same thing about Tom Brady or Antonio Brown having been 6th-round picks that you just don't go and get guys in the 6th round that end up being all pros or potential future Hall of Famers and holding NFL records? These are exceptions to the rule. So when you talk about bringing Josh Dobbs back and people are like, hooray, they cut Duck, or they should have cut Mason instead. Just get off of your high horse. And, I was expecting some news here shortly that Duck will be back on the practice squad. They still have a spot open as of the time of us doing this. So, that would be 4 guys that have had at least some type of regular season snap that are all under X age. That doesn't occur on any roster hardly. Most of these guys are like a Nick Foles or a Josh McCown or something like, or Brian Hoyer. And then, do you really feel comfortable with them coming in? Even Charlie Batch was just okay. He was average, but you had that like defense that was just stacked with great guys. That's the reason the Steelers got to 8-8 last year too. I know how you feel about Rudolph. He's listed here as the backup. Josh Dobbs coming back did surprise me, but he's back on the same deal that they traded him to Jacksonville. So Jacksonville assumed that contract. We got a 5th-round pick. That was part of the Minka package like a week later. So,
yep.
And then you get the guy back off of waivers. So he's got 1 more year. We'll see how he develops. I'm not saying he's a savior. I'm not saying he's the future beyond Ben. We talked about this last show. They may extend Ben. They're still looking way down the road at this. And eventually when there isn't Ben, there's going to be some young guy that they've either been developing or they're going to draft, and probably some other old, journeyman guy, be it a Nick Foles, a Charlie Batch, anybody of that nature, Ryan Fitzpatrick, that are they're going to fight for this starting position until you have somebody who grabs the brass ring and becomes the next franchise quarterback. And for all we know, this might not be one of those just you pass the torch immediately from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck or Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, or that may not happen. It could take, knock on wood, that it doesn't take another 20 years like it did before. But it just drives me crazy of like all the hoopla and nonsense. Can't we just be excited that Dobbs is back? He's a real smart guy to hold the clipboard. He's going to see things in film rooms. He's a literal rocket scientist. He also brings something different on the field with his mobility, even for scout team. He has a ton of value to be there, even if he is the 3rd quarterback and nothing more than that.
You touched on what I think is the biggest part of this in my mind. Like, we've said this many, many times. If we have Josh Dobbs starting, we're in trouble, period. That's the end of the statement. If we had Devlin Hodges starting, as proved out last year, we're in trouble. But let me point back. Do you remember the throw that Josh Dobbs made coming in when Ben was hurt? He comes in and makes one throw.
Yes.
Over the middle, big first down. What was it? 3rd and 22 or something like that. Some ridiculous thing. Devlin Hodges can't make that throw. All right. Let me just be clear. They wouldn't have let him try it. He can't make that throw.
It wasn't a pass play. He audibled.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Dobbs may not be perfect, but he is a better quarterback than Devlin Hodges is. So that's an improvement. And what he brings is what you mentioned the last. Devlin Hodges is never going to be able to play Lamar Jackson or, Baker Mayfield or any of these Mobley kind of guys. Not that I'm comparing Baker Mayfield to Lamar Jackson. They're 2 different apples and oranges, but whatever. That's not something Devlin Hodges is going to be able to bring to the squad. Josh Dobbs is not Lamar Jackson, but he will give you that feel much more so than anybody else on the roster. So he brings that aspect to things that will help the team get better from a practice standpoint as opposed to necessarily on the field. That's the value I think he brings. And the fact that he's really smart. Ben's going to be comfortable with him. They know each, as you said, standing on the side with the clipboard. It's a guy that knows the offense, that you can, trust what he sees. So, I got no issues with Josh Dobbs coming back. I think again, it's highway robbery. You get a pick out of it that turns into part of Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then you get the player back. Hey, who's going to argue? And he's still on the rookie deal, so oh well.
Yeah, it's just gravy, whipped cream, cherry on top, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Sounds like something you would eat down south. Dobbs, that was a 22-yard pass, by the way. The Juju. That was, that was a fourth quarter play. He came in. That was on his own. They were backed up to their own 5-yard line too, and against the Ravens, and that was ended up tackled by Eric Weddle. I mean, that was a laser beam, but he did play most of a second half against a 2-10 Oakland Raiders squad. Where
I didn't say he was good.
Yeah, I know, and that was the infamous X-ray machine that we didn't know was right, and that kind of killed the season probably. That their chances at playoffs, and made Antonio Brown go insane and all kinds of other things. So thanks, Josh. Welcome back. Hey, I'm excited. I never really hated him. I just thought that he had lost his job because they became even more enamored with someone they had a first round grade in, with Mason Rudolph moving up, getting him in the third round. And he didn't do any favors the previous preseason where, the one before that, he bumped my guy, the GOAT, Landry Jones. Talk about the greatest backup quarterback of all time. Let's bring him back, too.
No,
yeah,
that's
okay. Out. I know. Sad face. Anyways, Josh Dobbs, he led like 6 scoring drives, like 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals. A lot of them were 60, 70-yard drives, a lot of leadership. And then the pressure got put on him with Mason Rudolph, and it seemed like he wasn't quite all the same there, that training camp and everything else. So I don't know. We won't get to see what he'll be doing, or even if he'll get a whole lot of snaps, but the team will get to work with him a little bit more for this year and decide what to do next year with him. And like I said, I always felt they had a good quarterback problem. Even if it's a bunch of average quarterbacks, it's still better than some of the guys that are going to come in for some of these other teams that really can't hack it. And he's got a good support system around him too, be it the coaching staff, the entire organization, or talented players at other positions, which, that was also kind of the problem last year with any of the other guys that were playing. You had Juju out, you had Connor out, you had all these other things. I look up and down this depth chart that was just released, and there aren't a whole lot of questions here, no surprises, other than a few or designations next to some of these names where you have like basically co-starters or undecided starters. I think the biggest surprise here is Deontay Johnson, right off the top of this chart, leapfrogs over James Washington as a starter. That's not something that Mike Tomlin usually does. He's the guy that goes with the varsity guys. It's like if you're on the varsity team and you're a senior, you're listed ahead on the chart over the junior, and this is kind of the sophomore over the junior here when it comes to experience in years between Washington and Johnson. The offensive line, Villanueva, Matt Filer will be the left guard. Some people were asking if you're surprised about Stefan Wisniewski. If you paid attention to anything that was going on in the poll reports and that, there was no surprise there. That's where they wanted Filer to be. They even kind of tipped their hat to this when they tried to limit that front 7 from the Rams last year, too, and played a similar lineup. Marquise Pouncey, Dave DeCastro, and then it's Zach Banner or Chuks Okorafor. So that's the interesting part on the offensive line. Eric Ebron or Vance McDonald. I assume they just listed both of these in alphabetical order for simplicity. And then you have James Conner, Benny Snell as a backup, Anthony McFarland. They put Jalen Samuels kind of on his own line, even though it only goes 3 columns. So he's back there somewhere because he's a different type of player. Derek Watt, Big Ben, Mason, Josh Dobbs. Then you have Juju, Chase Claypool, and then Ray McLeod. That rounds out the entire offense. Kevin Dotson listed as the primary backup to DeCastro. J.C. Hassenauer listed as the backup for center. So they have met the requirements of the needed number of offensive linemen for game days, Brian, so they can go from 53 to 55 and bump up some guys from the practice squad. I'm going to take one guess at that right now. It's going to be Dan McCullers. That's going to be one of them. That's just my guess. Yeah. Special teams, low risk there. Probably not going to get plucked off a practice squad or anything like. Not that he's going to go to waivers. That's one of the guys I think they could throw on there. It could be literally anybody, but I doubt it's going to be like a punter like Corliss Waitman, who kind of surprising he was there too. Any thoughts on the offense though? I mean, I thought it was pretty cut and dry. My only, like I said, Deontay being listed there, and I know some of this is just the semantics of filling this out and having 2 wide receivers instead of 3 or something like that, but. The co-starter thing, we've seen this in the past. The one that popped in my brain was like Jarvis Jones, I want to say. They still had Jason Worlds, and I'm trying to think who else was there, but he was a co-starter with somebody. And it's happened in a few other spots where it just doesn't, hit you over the head because you don't see it as often, or it's, how many other camp battles do they really have most other years? You know what I mean? Yep. Most of this stuff's already decided. Ramon Foster tweeted something about Tomlin being a sicko with those two. It's going to be whichever guy performs on game day, but I just hope they get the consistency down between either Banner or Okorafor, and it either shows both guys have been excellent or neither one have impressed enough to outright earn that job. So I guess we'll see next Monday.
Yeah, I think that what it really shows is that both guys have had adequate camps, but nobody overly distinguished themselves. And nobody claimed the job. But at the same time, that's not necessarily a bad position to be in because, as Tomlin has said, what it really also shows is that you have 2 capable starters, 2 guys who are starter capable, I should say. I was a little surprised by J.C. Hassenauer winning that role. But, hey, they had to have somebody be in it. I thought Wisniewski might be the guy that they plugged there as well, but they keep that extra offensive lineman, and then you've got Kevin Dotson, the rookie, the grown ass young man in the making, the manhandler. I don't know. I got to come up with a nickname for him. I like Kevin Dotson. Backing up David DeCastro. I got to I don't know, Mountain. I don't know the Mountain. Maybe he's just he's the Mountain from Game of Thrones, except he's too short. And it's hard to call a guy 6'4" too short, but he's like Mini Mountain. There you go, Mini Mountain. The Mini Mountain manhandler, because he's going to pancake some guys. He's a strong dude, man. He's just as strong.
So we have some other news that just surfaced too. So Jordan Berry is on his way out and presumably making room maybe for Waitman or Colquitt. Pending. Really? Yeah, pending whatever physical. So, Colquitt, of course, has that Steelers pedigree, I guess, with his father having played for, the Steelers eons ago, and, coming over from Kansas City. This is one of the things that was like a bugaboo here, Brian, because we said Jordan Berry may have been on thin ice in the past, and we were just discussing with Corliss Waitman being on a practice squad. I wonder if they keep an extra punter on the practice squad now. I kind of almost doubt it. It seems like somewhat of a luxury, but I think you'll have to see if the veteran player, I'm not sure how old, and which Colquitt is it? Because there's 2 of them. Is it Dustin?
Dustin.
I think it's Dustin. Was he the one? This is the one that was just with the Chiefs. He's 38. I mean, the guys who kick the ball, they could be, what is Adam Vinatieri now, like 62? I mean, he's
957.
He came down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, he did.
He did. He was there before that too. He was already like 62 at that point. But anything that when this came out, the news about maybe Dustin Colquitt, they had him in for a physical. They weren't sure. Whatever. And here's the other thing. Everybody's going to be like, oh, my God, Jordan Berry, this and that. Yeah, okay, he shanked a punter, too. Anytime that happens with anybody. But he was average. He was all right. When he came in as a rookie and won the job over Brad Wing, he came from, where did he come from? Like Eastern Kentucky University or something? And he was booming punts on Instagram videos and all these other things. And, he looked good and he was serviceable. But when you watch like the Titans play or you watch the Rams play or even, God, I hate to say it, vomit in mouth, Ravens, it seems like any guy they ever have on some of these teams, like Cook or any of these guys, they bang the ball like 60 yards consistently. And that's what the Steelers have needed. This is an important piece here. This is an all-in piece, in my opinion. And I think this is also.
I would agree with that.
I think this is also like a thing here. He got a Super Bowl ring, did he not?
Yes, he did.
So is he looking for another one? I know he got pushed out by a younger guy. He has the Chiefs record for the longest punt at 81 yards. He was a Pro Bowler in 2012 and 2016. This is another move where now you can pin teams maybe within their own 20 and you unleash this defense. Let's look at the defensive depth chart. Let's get off the punters, but I'll let you say it. You always say it. What goes on with the guys that use their foot?
If you use your foot as your primary interaction with the football, your lifespan is not long.
Yes, it is in danger at every turn.
Yep, you are constantly on the bubble. There's just no getting around it. That's not. You don't. The guys who use their foot to interact with the football are not the guys who are getting paid. Replaced.
They get paid sometimes. It just depends on if that team might need them if they're terrible.
True.
Need to kick field goals and need to be able to get some type of field position that you may not be able to hold. Speaking of guys who use their foot in with a football, hopefully we never have a reason to insert our foot in our mouth when we're betting on football, as the winning season returns at MyBookie. The winning season means doubling your first deposit, which sounds like Dustin Colquitt's about to do that. So,
yeah. Wait. Double?
Double.
Did you say double?
Doubling
twice
your
as
first
much?
deposit. Yes, that means twice.
So if I deposit $50, I get $100.
That's correct. You know,
if I deposit $100, I get $200.
Yes. In fact, new players get up to $1,000 in free play.
What?
Yes, up to $1,000. I know
you told me that last time, and it was startling then, but it's still startling now. Daggone it!
Yeah,
$1,000. Holy smokes!
I know Brian's like the old man yelling at the clouds, but the winning season's back at MyBookie, and as I said, it means you're doubling your first deposit. It means Survivor. It means Super Contest and Squares at MyBookie. The winning season means hitting all your parlays and props with your feet up. Your feet up, Brian. Watching your team trounce their rivals. So. I like that word. I leave it in here. I know they give us some stuff, some bullet points to talk about, but the one that I really like is it's time to celebrate the NFL season. Football is back. Kickoff's right around the corner. I think there's 9 games on Sunday afternoon, all running at the same time. It's going to be crazy. And some of these places, like, God forbid I'm in Ohio where they're actually going to allow 6,000 Browns and or Bengals fans into those stadiums. Ugh.
Okay.
So, yeah, that'll make a lot of noise. In fact, for Cincinnati, they may actually be an improvement. So, but take a look over at MyBookie. We'll have some more odds. I like to read them later in the week as we get closer to knowing some of the information because this stuff changes. So what you just need to know is, folks, is to keep this promo code of Steel City in your brain here. Invest in your intuition and use the promo code Steel City. You get to double your first deposit. New players up to $1,000 in free play. And hey, you know what? That's good. Even if you're just looking at some of the other postseason sports that are going on in Major League Baseball, MyBookie's got it all, from live betting to championship futures. Every play you want to make is waiting at MyBookie. Go ahead, wager on the Steelers winning the Super Bowl if you would like. It's just that simple. Make your picks, win big, collect your cash. Use the promo code Steel City. Double your first deposit because your winning season begins today only at MyBookie.
I got something I got to ask you about because it's been weighing on my hands in my ears since you said it.
Okay.
You said put your feet up and watch your favorite team trounce its rivals. Put your feet up. Have you ever in your life watched a Steelers game with your feet up?
Very few. Against the Panthers a few years ago on Thursday night, and that was in the stadium.
and I couldn't even have done it then. I can't watch a game with my feet up. Trouncing the rivals, I like the way that sounds. But feet up, no, that's out.
You know what? Speaking of trouncing, let's get over to the defensive side of the depth chart here, and no real surprises. Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt as your defensive ends. I don't know. They always have Cam listed as a defensive tackle. Tyson Alualu listed as a nose tackle, and Stephon Tuitt designated as a defensive end. Then the backups, I guess. Carlos Davis, I said I was surprised he made the team. Isaiah Buggs. So Davis behind Hayward, Buggs behind Alualu, Chris Wormley listed behind Tuitt. You have T.J. Watt with Ola as a backup. You have Bud Dupree with Alex Highsmith on his side. That should signal something. That should signal we're warming this up. Let's see if there's extended or an extension for Bud Dupree in the future here. Devin Bush. Now, here's the one that was getting goofed a little bit by people reading this and misinterpreting. Backed up by Marcus Allen or Ulysses Gilbert. So, again, alphabetical order here reigns supreme. Robert Spillane behind Vince Williams. I got to look at this roster and see if they've changed Marcus Allen's position yet from safety or not to inside linebacker. Somebody was questioning me that on the 53 that I had put out, and I said, the Steelers still have him listed as a safety, so I put him down as a safety. So there's your linebackers. Then you get into the secondary. Joe Hayden with James Pierre as a backup. You have Steven Nelson with Justin Lane. Mike Hilton with Cam Sutton. So they've designated Cam Sutton as a nickel guy there. And then first team nickel cornerback. So they even kind of almost created this position a few years ago, and these guys come out. You get like 12 starters on the defense, or 13 sometimes even, announced before the game. Who'd I miss here? The two safeties, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds, of course, both backed up by Sean Davis. This is the only area on the roster, I think, where you have the same name twice. Yes, that's true. The same name twice as a primary backup. So he will be backing up either of those guys. Jordan Dangerfield goes over to basically the backup of the backups on that list, which that's the only part that's kind of surprising, considering Davis just had to hop on a plane, probably just got in Pittsburgh, this morning, for all we know.
Yep. But like as we said, he knows the defense. He's not coming in raw to any of this. Everybody had been talking about James Pierre, and wondering if he was going to make the 53 as a undrafted guy. So that's one of the great tragedies, so to speak, of this particular preseason is the fact that we couldn't see what he was doing. We couldn't go to camp as spectators. You didn't get a chance to get fired up about the whole concept of a camp phenom. You had to go through the pool reports and just kind of try and read through the lines. But nonetheless, I'm still somewhat surprised that this undrafted guy made the team. Yeah. But kudos to him. I mean, he is, he's a long corner. He's 6'2". It's the kind of guy that they like. So we'll see. I told you watch out for Alex Highsmith, man. You just watch out for Alex Highsmith.
Yeah. And by the way, the Colquitt news is official now, too, per the Steelers, as we're actually discussing all this. Jim Wexell, by the way, reporting that today's practice by Barry probably didn't have anything to do with the Steelers signing Dustin Colquitt, son of former Steelers punter Craig Colquitt from 78 to 84, but it didn't help, is what he said. So, but Craig, he kind of jumped here because Missy Matthews, and I knew there was a gap here as well. I was trying to look it up here, and it just popped up on my screen right in front of me conveniently as everyone's scrambling to report the news. But Craig Colquitt was 78 to 81 and then came back for 2 years, 83, 84. And Dustin has been with the Chiefs for 15 years. So a very long tenured player. Hey, nothing wrong with taking a guy who just won another team Super Bowl. So I'm not going to complain. Upgrade wherever it is. But Mark Cabulli also reporting that it may save the team over $1 million in salary by adding Colquitt and releasing Barry because of the way Barry's contract was structured. So interesting stuff. And that factors into, there was a kind of cryptic tweet by Mike Hilton about being patient and waiting. And we heard Jerry Dulac say there might be one more deal getting done. And I was trying to look up and down the roster who it could be. I'm pointing my finger there, Brian. We may have some more news here in the very near future. Steelers like to get these things done before the regular season starts. So we'll see if there's any more extensions, but that seems to be the rumbling. I don't know how big it'll be, but I guess we'll find out. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, you calling your shot there on Mike Hilton, huh? I'm with you.
Who else could it be? I mean, I really don't know. It's not going to be Juju. It's not going to be James Conner at this point. It's not. T.J. Watt's going to get a 5th-year option. Who else do they have up? I mean, they haven't decided a starter at right tackle, so it's not going to be Banner. The only other guy,
maybe Byler. Ben. They're going to extend Ben. There you go. They're extending Ben.
That could always happen. And then what? So we owe him $80 million in like 2024, and when he's no longer on the roster.
Exactly.
I mean, it could be like Matt Filer if they really feel they need to lock him up and be a left guard. I mean, that would be an under the radar one. But I mean,
there are several guys on that offensive line that are on their last year, or on a single year contract or whatnot. So it could be that. But I agree with you. I think Hilton's waited. He's produced. He's been a consistent performer. So it won't surprise me if that's what happens. And good. It'll be, again, good for them if they get him locked up and they've got that, because that secondary. Again, I get a little tired of giving Zaccadonia call-outs on the show, not because I don't like Zaccadonia.
Then don't. But let's stop it. We could.
I have to, because I use his words, and then I feel compelled. Like I'm about to say, the secondary is lit, and I don't even understand what I'm saying, but Zach does. And to me, that means you should go get a fire extinguisher and put them out because they're on fire. But but Zach likes it. It's good.
No, what I was going to say was. I was jumping into you could do, what you could do with Zaccadonia? You could do like you do with Neil O'Donnell and just not name him. So,
well, look, I have refrained from sharing my personal analysis of Zaccadonia that I share in the back rooms, and I'm not going to do it now because it's unfair and it's untrue. But I like to give him grief about it.
Well, I got to give him credit for just sharing the tweet with this Colquitt news. We were just saying all in, and it's got a scene with the lady pushing all the poker chips in the center of the table, saying all in, and it feels that it really does feel that way at this point. So it'll be interesting to see. Some of the surprises with the practice squad. I mean, I said Wendell Smallwood would end. Oh, I forgot special teams. We'll come back to that in a second. They ended up keeping Waitman. I'll see if he ends up sticking there. The punter from South Alabama. Dan McCullers got moved there. Ryan Switzer did not. I guess we got to mention that. I mean, wow, fall from grace, right? So probably should, and somebody said this too. They said he's gotten a lot of hate mail for putting himself up there and trying to say he could be the next like Wes Welker. You just don't say those things until you're in a position where you might actually have a season where you get 100 targets or so. So, some of the...
I know what happened. I'm going to tell you, I know what happened to Switzer.
Okay.
He flipped me. Remember, I said he's earned. I doomed him. The minute he got me on his side, he was screwed. So I'm sorry, Ryan, but you shouldn't have convinced me that you needed to stay, and now you're gone.
Yeah, isn't that the unfortunate side effect there? Way to go, Brian. Who else? Trajan Bandy, Antoine Brooks. Dion Kane. I'm trying to think if somebody else got moved or released here. Anthony Coyle, Amara Darbo, Trey Emmons, Jaron Elliott, Derwin Gray, Jerron Jones, Dan McCullers, Henry Mondow, Kevin Rader, Curtis Riley, and Corliss Waitman. And that was only 14 guys. The 15th was Wendell Smallwood. I guess we'll wait and see if the 16th is added. There's news coming out all over the place. And, of course, we'll be back with our pregame show later this week, but at the tail end of this, the special teams, we already mentioned Colquitt, Chris Boswell. There was a couple oars here too. Kick returners Anthony McFarland or Ray McLeod, and then the punt returner will be Deontay Johnson, also backed up by Ray McLeod, and then James Pierre. So you got two guys that weren't even expected to make the 53, listed as return duty specialists here on the depth chart. That was a little bit surprising. But considering that Switzer wasn't retained, I don't know. He might be somebody that's there on speed dial if somebody gets hurt. Who knows? But, it's not unheard of. They brought Sean Davis and Josh Dobbs back, and they brought other guys back in the past, too. So, I won't hold my breath. That's one thing. But clearly, he and Dion Kane kept the spot on the practice squad at least. So, Raymond McLeod comes from out of nowhere, 5'9", 190, and wins wide receiver 5 and some return duties too. So we'll see how it goes. That's the only surprise I really had with the special teamers.
Yeah, that's about it. I would agree with that. Look, and we mentioned in the back rooms, it's very possible that Switzer didn't want to be on the practice squad, that he's going to go out and see if he can find gainful employment on somebody starting, 53. And if he can't, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I got a completely off-topic question for you because this just popped up on my timeline, and it's striking me so badly that I completely have to bring it up.
Yes, go for it.
It's non-Steelers related. Would you drink mint yogurt soda?
I wouldn't drink anything mint, and I wouldn't drink anything yogurt.
And it's pop. Those words don't belong. They don't belong together.
It's not soda. It's pop.
Yogurt. Well, I'm from Ohio. I agree with you. It's pop. It was pop growing up my entire life. But I'm now out here in the evil hinterlands of New Jersey, and it's soda out here. But what could even begin to enter a human's mind? This is I'm pretty sure this is a sign of the apocalypse. One of the 7 signs of something, because mint yogurt soda. That's disgusting.
Yeah, that sounds pretty gross. I'm just assuming it's like Greek yogurt or some type of vanilla, or
I don't want to know. I didn't explore it that deeply.
Or maybe it's mint flavored. I don't know.
The picture of it is a 2-liter bottle of soda with a bunch of goo in the bottom of it, which is the yogurt that has gone down. So first of all, you got to shake it up. How do you drink this? Carbonated soda, you got to shake it up. Now when you open it, it's going to fizz all over the place. It's stupid.
I hear you loud and clear, my friend. The only other thing I was going to add was just looking at that depth chart. Front 7 and the secondary for the Steelers just looks...
Man. This is the best defense in the league, period.
Yes.
Fight me.
Yes, and it's just unbelievable at every level. I mean, Colquitt might solidify it. I don't see any weak links. The only thing that could be bad is if somebody with the offense is injured or offensive line gets injured, and even then, you still got some depth there. So just hopefully those pieces stick together. Ben doesn't have a noodle arm, as everyone was suspecting, and he claims he's felt better than ever before, and people want to throw more money at him. It's feeling good. We're going to talk more about that 1 week from today. Will be that game. So I don't know. I guess we'll talk about it on probably later in the week, probably as late as we can go, maybe Friday-ish, Thursday, Friday at the end of the week. And then, of course, we'll have the post game too, Monday Night Football, Steelers, Giants, nobody in the stands. Maybe cutouts. Will they have cutouts?
I don't know. It's New York. They'll probably have pizza rats.
Is it Ray's Pizza or original Ray's Pizza or whatever? There's only like 50 of those.
So I know you didn't run. I know you didn't run the Steelers 5K, but I did. I did run the Steelers 5K over the weekend. They did that, I'm pretty happy because I placed 233 out of 800 and something people, but 149th in the gender role. I'm thrilled. I'm in the top half of the males who ran the race, and I'm old. So the hell with all you young pups.
I'm not trained. I've been busy doing like the old 16-ounce lifts, and fitness is basically fitness pizza in my mouth. So
yeah, there you go. I just had to bring it up. I need to pat myself on the back for my 32-minute time on the 5K.
Absolutely,
I was pretty happy.
Absolutely, I saw it. I'm proud of you, buddy. I'm going to get there one of these days. I promise. But until then, my idea of getting a shape is the round shape. So
round.
Yes.
The shape you want to get in is round.
Yes. That's the way it is. And I'm going to enjoy some adult beverages on this Labor Day afternoon. And you know what? You enjoy your day as well. And thanks, for taking your time out of your day. I know I'm taking my time out of my day. And I think our listeners will appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll have more things to talk about. This may get crazy. We may even have more than 2 shows a week coming up soon. We can fit them in. There's enough stuff that comes out. We're compelled to talk about it. Darn it. We will.
Absolutely.
And that's a promise.
And just so you know, when we're done recording, I'm going to go do push-ups.
Yeah, go for that. I'm going to go find a nice pint of...
so I'm going to lift. I'm going to lift me.
Lift me. that works too. So Well, folks, that's Brian. My name's Joe. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage our listeners out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.